edition of our current affairs program, Issues of the Moment. My name is Chimezie Ozems. On our program today, our conversation will center on the high cost of party nomination forms and the effect on the youth. The age-long cliche says that youths are the leaders of tomorrow, but it is a well-known fact that so many of us are against the youth in national politics, and one of them happens to be the high cost of party nomination forms, especially that of the two main political parties in Nigeria, the All Progressive Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP. One wonders how the youth will be able to purchase these forms, considering the high rate of poverty in Nigeria. That's the background information of the subject we are discussing today on Issues of the Moment. And I have with me two gentlemen who are going to do justice to this very important issue. Sitting on my far left is Dr. Eugene Wohan. Dr. Wohan is a regular contributor on this very program. Dr. Wohan is a public affairs analyst. Doctor, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator.
I also have in the studio this morning Mr. Chijioke Nwogu. Mr. Nwogu is an Aba-based legal practitioner. Mr. Nwogu, thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you and good morning.
Dr. Wohan, let me start with you. We say that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. And we know that some of the elders who has been in national politics has been there since the attainment of independence in 1960. And today, when you look at the cost of party nomination forms, it is beyond what most youths in Nigeria can purchase. What is your take on that?
Thank you, moderator. This cliche you said that youths are leaders of tomorrow. I think we are trying to say that even youths are leaders of today. For me, this kind of amount being fixed for purchase of nomination form is just a way of excluding the youths in participating in the politics. And I think that was what made the youths to form their own party sometime in 2017. No, yes, 2017, 2018. So to answer your question more directly, I think there should be a constitutional arrangement where the youth will be given a chance, where they can be given these forms free of charge. Because if you say bring 20 million, 40 million, 50 million, for example, it means that none of the youth can take part at all in the electoral process.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Nwogu, do you agree with him that the high cost of nomination forms are a way of excluding the youth from national politics? You are a young adult. Do you agree with him?
Thank you. Definitely, it is a way of excluding the youth from participating in the nomination process. When you look at the presidential nomination form and the expression of interest, cumulatively it came to 40 million naira for that of PDP and almost 50 million naira for that of APC. The governorship is about 21 million naira. Yes. How can the young people raise this type of money? That is the simple thing. It is not easy for a youth in a country where there is no job. What did the person do to raise this 10 million naira, 20 million naira? Ordinarily, they have said they are giving 50% discount for the youth, and the youth is of 25 to 30 years. Even if you give them the 50% discount, that is still 10 million naira and above.
It's still on the high side.
It's still on the high side. How long will you work? Assuming you are in a job of 500,000 naira a month, how long will you work to raise 10 million naira for just nomination alone? Remember that when you are working, you'll be eating to keep yourself living and be saving. It will take 50 years for the youth to save it. And by then, he's no longer a youth. He has left the age cycle of the youth for him to raise this type of money. The youth must be on the fast lane for him to raise this money. You must be involved in one drug business or the other for you to have this type of money. And that is where they are going to. The youth with genuine work can no longer participate in the electoral process.
Okay, Dr. Wohan, Can it be said that our democracy is very costly when you look at the cost of these party nomination forms?
Definitely, because it raises the bar so high for even adults. It means that it's only those who have been in the process, who have been either governors or commissioners or something, that could. And if you look at the politicians in Nigeria, the Atikus, the Tinubus, they are no businessmen. They have all been politicians all along, and it is only them that can raise this kind of money. And in that essence, there's no way any youth can come in, except if we reintroduce the issue of godfatherism. Because if you say 20 million, 10 million, it means that there will be a godfather now who will now sponsor that youth to contest that election. In which case, if you say you are bringing in the youth, and invariably it is the godfather that you are bringing in. So definitely, I will advocate genuinely to, as part of the reforms going on our electoral process, that the amount for collection of these forms should be fixed. I sincerely believe that we can still take a look at that. Let it be fixed. Let us also have room for independent candidates, because these independent candidates will not go through any party.
Yes.
And so the youth now can use that opportunity to come up, if they are popular, to participate in the political process. So the independent candidacy, the next electoral reform should include that. This will give opportunity for people who are good, despite the fact that they don't have the deep pocket, because the way it is now, it is only those with deep pockets who can contest even a councillorship election. Because apart from purchasing the form, like the barrister said, you also have a process to go. You have to do electioneering, and electioneering in Nigeria is so expensive.
It's very costly.
Very, very costly that it is only the old politicians. That's why they are being recycled, because they can afford it, because they have been on the seat before, and invariably they must have gathered money. The politician doesn't think much about the citizen. He thinks more of the next election. So what he does is to gather money, raise the cost of the forms, so that only few people can afford it, and the few people can sit together, settle themselves, and produce just one person. In which case, the youths, as we are being referred to, don't stand a chance at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Nwogu, we are said to be the biggest democracy in Africa. What will be the effect of this high cost of forms on Nigeria's democracy?
Thank you. Ordinarily, people try to define democracy as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is in Athens, Greece. That's not in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the true definition of democracy is government of the few for the majority. It is a system where only few will participate in the process of selecting the candidate and present them to the general public. If you don't belong to the class that can raise this money, you will not participate in it.
Yes.
If you can't even buy the form, you are not here, let alone considering you. So it's a few selected people that can buy it, and they will also determine who they will present to the public. Remember, it's party system. All the parties are going to present someone that must have been skilled elsewhere and financed elsewhere, and they present it to us, and we have no option. We queue into them. You either choose A, or you choose B, or you choose C. And at the end of the day, you see that the democracy we are going to run does not even represent the wish of the people. Because by the time the selection was made, the general public was not part of it. And by the time it is presented to them, they have no option. They must go in between these 2 or 3 options presented to them. At the end of the day, you see that the democracy itself suffers. The few people select for us, and they keep recycling for us. For us here, I am interested. I want to be president. But I have no access. I cannot raise 40 million. So
You don't have the money.
I don't have the money.
You cannot steal.
Even if I raise 40 million, do I have the 200 million naira to do the electioneering? So I am automatically spewed out of the system. Then you see that at the end of the day, what suffers is this democracy. Democracy continues to suffer. Why we continue to run government of the few for the public? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Warner, don't you think that the politics of godfatherism has come to stay in Nigeria?
Yes, because with this high cost of nomination forms and expression of interest form, there's no other way to interpret it except that the godfathers will seize it and determine who will be there. And the moment that happens, the youths are completely excluded. Unless if you have your own godfather. That is why most of the youths are just political thugs. They are just political jobbers running around the few people who can afford it. And when people say they blame the youth to be thugs and this, why would you blame them? They are hungry, they have no job, they can't feed themselves, they can't clothe themselves. There are graduates in this country who have graduated in the past 13, 14 years, who are still jobless. So there's no way this grade of people, no matter how intelligent they are, no matter how they can contribute to our system, there's no way they can be part of the electioneering process. So for me, I suggest practically two things. Let us have independent, even in the US where we say we adopted their system. But I tell you, what is happening in Nigeria is not what happens in the US, to be sure. But even at that, they also have independent candidates, whether they win or not, but the opportunity is there. So I want us to create such opportunities for our youths. I thank God that the YPP is there. Even the YPP cannot run itself because most youths in YPP are hungry youths who are jobless, who cannot afford the electioneering process. So it is my belief that as our democracy is deepening, as we are maturing, because democracy is still young for me in the country. So let us still look at the ways of finding younger people. Or we can have an age limit ceiling for certain positions. Say the president should not be more than 60 years. Although people will say it's not democratic. But for we beginners in democracy, we can give that as an option. Later we can still drop it. To enable the youth now to come up, those who have the energy, who can run around. Because a country like Nigeria doesn't require somebody 70, 80 years and because this country requires somebody who can be in Kaduna today and tomorrow he's in Port Harcourt to deal with issues practically on the spot. So the youth now should not sit back and say, let it be. Let the youth still come out and make their input. Because with pressure coming from, in Nigeria, you don't get anything except if you put pressure. With pressure coming from the youth, I think these electoral processes will continue to be amended.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Warner. At this point, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, issues of the moment continues. Stay tuned.
Admission is ongoing at Living TV Film Academy, Aba, Abia State, for candidates wishing to study filmmaking and mass communication for skill certificate training and degree programs, including mandatory NYSC post-degree service. Courses offered are Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Broadcast Journalism, TV Presentation, Filter Journalism, Department of Film and multimedia studies, cinematography, acting, video editing, film production, website designing, modeling and makeup, bead making, screenwriting, theater arts, Department of Broadcasting, script writing, journalism, reporting, software programming, mobile and web app development, audio production, graphic designing, digital animation, special effects, social media management. Entry qualifications. Candidates must possess 5 credits in WASICAM GCE, NAPTEB or equivalent. We have the following technical infrastructure for students' skills acquisition: an art theater well equipped for modern digital television and radio studios open for hire to the public, an audio suite for music production, soundtracks, sound effects, jingles and voice-over, etc. A 50 feet by 40 feet chroma studio, largest in Africa for special effects, world-class rendering facilities for post-production rendering, animation and cartoon technology, assorted professional cameras, drones, etc. A film village with epic and village houses for theater arts and epic films making. Our studies are skill-oriented with well-qualified academic and technical teachers. We also admit students on industrial training and internship from other institutions. Professional license will be issued to graduates to practice as professionals by Bollywood, a registered professional organization for filmmakers. Wow! What are you waiting for? Rush now and obtain our admission form with 2,000 naira only at our main campus, number 1 Judges Road, 5th floor, former UBA House by NEPA, Waterside Descent, Aba, Abia State, Nigeria, or visit our website, livingradio.com.ng, the academy, www.livingtvfilmacademy.com, email livingtvfilmacademy@gmail.com, or call 0805 367 3900 or 0816 641 1400. Signed, Registrar.
Welcome back to the program. This is Issues of the Moment. And on today's edition of our program, we are discussing the high cost of party nomination forms in Nigerian politics. And my guests are Dr. Eugene Woha and Mr. Chijioke Nwogu. Doc, before we went on that break, we were talking about the effect of the high cost of the forms on Nigeria's politics. Can you take a look at this very issue? Don't you think that the youth will continue to play the role of tops in national politics because of this high cost of forms?
Not only those,
Definitely.
and eras.
Yeah, definitely. They will only be running around those who have the deep pockets. But there's also another issue I wanted us to look at, which we mentioned off camera. How are our parties being run? How are they being funded? It appears to me that all the parties have no funds. They only wait for election time when these nomination funds will be bought. So they put the whole cost of running the parties on what they realize from nomination funds. So to deepen democracy too, we must also look at the party structure to see how parties can be run transparently, their sources of funds, so that they won't be depending on Godfather too to support the party. At the moment the Godfather supports the party, the Godfather now will dictate how the party is being run. In fact, even during the first era of the democracy, the party chairman was powerful. The party chairman can call the governor or the president to order, depending on the level. But what do we see today? We have made the governor or the president the leader of the party, so that the party chairman that nominated the governor or the president is now under the president. That shouldn't be. It's not healthy for party growth. So for the youths now, the best thing for them is to come out in full and ensure that the party forms can be made available to them. Let it be part of the process we are going through, so that they can take part. Whether they win or they lose is a different ballgame altogether.
Okay, Chijioke, you talked about eras. Can you expatiate on that? What exactly do you mean by eras?
Well, what we see of recent is that the youths are either tops or eras. When you go in this era of social media, you only observe youth going to Facebook, attacking one person or the other. If you say anything against their candidate or their paymaster, they will all come out to attack you. Just open Facebook now. You will see more than 200 Abia youths supporting a particular candidate, endorsing a particular government decision, criticizing a particular government decision, or taking one form of support or the other. They are all eras. They have nothing to do, and they are paid. And you see that they are being given data on daily basis. You see they receive 1 gig, 2 gig, and what are they using it for? Just to attack. They attack dogs, to attack any passive opponent, and they are just the eras.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Now, still on UGJ, Dr. Waugh raised the issue of funding of political parties. According to him, he said that it is during election that parties raise money for the running of the party of the parties. Should that be the case? I know that you are a card-carrying member of a political party. Does it mean that members of that party do not pay subscription or levy at the end of every month or year?
Thank you. First of all, we have to look at who should be a party officer. Party officer should have something doing. There shouldn't be a full-time party office. But what we see now is that if you are the party chairman, it's a full-time service. If you are the party secretary, it's a full-time service. Even almost all the key positions in the party. And if you are in full-time career, let me call it career, because some people say, what is your trade? I'm a politician. If you are in full-time career, you expect to get your daily living from there. So if, say, any party chairman must be carefully employed in whatever he does, that will divert his attention a bit from making money from the party. But a situation where, if you're a party officer, you are looking at when people come to contest for election, they must come and see you now.
Yes.
The candidate must come and see you. Bring all the things associated with it and give to you. That doesn't make good for the system. Then, yes, in the party constitution, it has provided for monthly subscription. If you even see the party card, you see provision for subscription, where you subscribe monthly, and it should be recorded in the party card.
Yes.
But in practice, even the party officers don't ask you for this money. In practice, what we have observed is that those people that are contesting, the candidates or contestants, will pay for them. Before they subscribe to your nomination, you now pay for a certain number of people. That is when the party subscription is being paid. Okay. Ordinarily, without electioneering, the party itself does not even ask for it. And invariably, you see that nobody, as a party member, pays for the usual subscription provided for in the party constitution.
Okay, thank you. Now, Dr. Waugh, can it be said that the two main political parties in Nigeria are anti-youth?
Definitely, because with the kind of amount we hear them charge for their forms, 40 million, 50 million, you have removed the youth entirely from the process. And you know, in Nigeria, hardly do any other party win any election apart from the APC and the PDP. So these two parties should help in deepening democracy by looking at their nomination forms, at the cost of their nomination forms. Somebody raised the issue and said electioneering, contesting for election should not be an all-comers affair, at least there should be a bar. Yes, we agree there should be a bar, but let that bar not be too high for people to scare. Then you talk of millions, in as much as the naira is losing value daily. But when it comes to millions, it's no longer a joke, especially for youths who are definitely unemployed. And those in power too should also look at ways of employing these youths. Because no matter the way you look at it, whether they are in politics or out of politics, a jobless youth is a problem to the system.
To the society.
to the society as a whole, because he can be used in any way,
Yes.
detrimental both to himself and the society as a whole. So this building the society must start from these political parties. They are the people to give direction to the politics of the country. And you know, politics gives direction to the economy, it gives direction to security, it gives direction to all other things, agriculture and so on and so forth. So I am suggesting strongly that we fashion a way to run political parties so that they don't depend entirely on subscription from members, which is not forthcoming, and they don't depend entirely on raising money from the nomination forms. Because if they depend from these two sources, it means that very few people will control these parties. And that has been our experience since 1999 and even beyond. We know the party chieftains, those that are called the party chieftains. And those party chieftains are no youths. They have been the old politicians who, in fact, there are politicians in Nigeria who have been there since 1999, either senators,
Career politicians.
for career politicians,
Professional politicians.
Professional politicians. They either in the Senate or in the House or in the, as a commissioner or as an appointed officer of government. So they don't have any other job doing. And therefore, they look at these sources as their livelihood. And with that kind of expectation, they raise the bar so high that the youths are completely excluded and they turn to, what do you call it, Yahoo boys, thugs, going to robbery and all the rest of them. And this has placed our society in jeopardy.
Okay.
Even this is called banditry. The original cause of banditry is unemployment.
Okay.
I think there could be another angle to it. There could be a legal angle to it. If the National Assembly can peg an amount for purchasing of this form, I think that can go a long way in controlling it. They can say, for instance, no party shall sell its nomination form above 5 million naira.
A certain amount.
Thereby giving the parties the option of fixing their price below or at maximum 5 million. And not only that legal angle, there could also be an administrative angle to it. INEC controls the political parties. What of where INEC pegs the maximum for the nomination form? They peg an amount for campaign, whether respected or obeyed in breach. At least peg an amount. INEC, under their supervisory role and oversight function, can bring a bar where you cannot cross in selling your nomination form. I think if you follow it from the legal angle and the administrative angle through INEC, I believe that it can be controlled rather than allowing parties, though we know that they say it's internal affairs of the party, but you can come into it indirectly to regulate it.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of our program, Issues of the Moment. For the past 30 minutes, we have been taking a look at the high cost of party nomination forms as we approach another election year, 2023. I want to thank my discussants, Dr. Eugene Waugh and Mr. Chijioke Nwogu, for coming to the studio of Living TV to contribute their quota to this important subject. Gentlemen, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
My name is Chimezi Ozems. I also want to thank you for being part of today's edition of the program. Join us next week for another interesting episode. Thank you.